What's up, everybody? Welcome to another installment of Fantastic Five. This week we're counting down 5 of the weirdest stories in Superman history. As the very first superhero ever created, there are more stories about Superman than almost any other hero in comics, and so it stands to reason that a few of them might be a little off the beaten path. Notably, during the Silver Age, which for Superman ran from about 1958 until 1971, editor Mort Weisinger and a host of writers including Otto Binder, Edmund Hamilton, Robert Bernstein, and Superman co-creator Jerry Siegel oversaw an era in which the Man of Steel was constantly undergoing strange transformations, encountering exotic new strands of kryptonite, traveling to bizarre alien worlds, and carrying out outrageous hoaxes on his friends to protect his identity. But the weird stuff was by no means limited to this era of stories. Here is a list of 5 oddball tales from across Superman's history. Truth, Justice, and the top 5. Number 5. Superman fights bulldozers on Mars. The New 52 Superman has been part of a number of weird stories, from dating Wonder Woman to turning into Doomsday to becoming a pro wrestler. But proving once again that weird rarely means bad on these lists, the 18-issue run on Action Comics by Grant Morrison and Rags Morales is one of the highlights of the New 52 launch. Seeing Superman return to his Man of the People roots, battle the Ghost in the Fortress of Solitude, and save all of reality in a mind-warping battle in the 5th dimension. But in the midst of that was some weird stuff too, including battling a version of Doomsday, who was crossing the multiverse, killing other Supermen in order to protect his own brand. But there's also this story from 2013's Action Comics number 14, where the Man of Tomorrow battles the Metalex, who were kind of a cross between the Daleks and the Talking Bulldozers from Bob the Builder, who were trying to xenoform the surface of Mars to make it hospitable for their race. To make things a little weirder, in another issue, we see the Metalex can infect humans to transform them into one of their own, as one of the sentient bulldozers starts coming out of a fireman's face. Number 4. The S is for Shakespeare. There's a lot going on in 1969's World's Finest Comics number 186 to 187 by writer Robert Kanigher and artist Ross Andru. For one thing, it's a 2-part story, which is weird in and of itself for a Silver Age DC story. But the story in these 2 issues is mega bonkers. Superman reassembles a damaged bust from the 18th century, which turns out to look like Batman. So of course the 2 heroes travel back in time to colonial America, where they are mistaken for British spies because of Superman's red cape. A disguised Batman tries to throw them off his scent by doing judo on his horse, but Superman tries to convince the angry mob that the 2 heroes are actors. The S is for Shakespeare, see? Before you know it, Superman and Batman are accusing each other of witchcraft, and Ben Franklin tries to hit Batman with lightning in a cameo appearance. Comics are rad, you guys. Number 3. The Man of Steel battles the Funny Pages. For much of the 20th century, newspaper comics were a huge cultural phenomenon, with popular characters like Popeye, Dick Tracy, and Little Orphan Annie capturing the national imagination. And so it's no real surprise that the star of the other comics medium, comic books, might take a little jab at them. And that's what's at the root of the case of the funny paper crimes from 1942's Superman number 19 by Jerry Siegel and Ed Dobrotka. In this story, one of Superman's most underrated villains ever makes his one major appearance, Funnyface, a frustrated cartoonist who invents a ray gun that brings comic strip characters to life. When he uses the ray to create an army of comic strip villains and threatens to reverse the ray's effect to turn Lois Lane into a 2-dimensional drawing, naturally Superman steals the ray to create some heroic allies for himself to sock Funnyface in his funny face. Number 2. Superman and Barda make a porno. I was gonna say, see? It's not only old comics that are weird, and then I realized this story from 1987 is 30 years old and I crumbled to dust and blew away in the wind. At any rate, in this story from Action Comics number 592 and 593 by writer-artist John Byrne, we are introduced to Sleaze, an exiled evil god of the planet Apocalypse, who has the ability to corrupt other people into doing gross stuff. As we find out, he's been using this power on the heroic female fury Big Barda, the wife of the equally heroic Scott Free, aka Mr. Miracle. At first, Sleaze is only using his power to make her do a sexy dance in a truly exorbitant amount of tassels, which he then videotapes to sell on Metropolis's apparently robust amateur porno market. Things get even worse when Superman falls prey to Sleaze's power, and soon the 2 are about to make an adult movie against their will, until Mr. Miracle bursts in through the skylight before the Man of Tomorrow can get to second base with his wife. And number 1, Superman or Super Menace? Okay, where do we even start on this one? Well, 1960, Superman number 137, written by Jerry Siegel, drawn by Kurt Swan. The premise of this issue is that after Jor-El shot baby Kal-El into space to escape the destruction of Krypton, his rocket was hit by a duplication ray, which made a second rocket that also landed on Earth. Inside, an exact duplicate baby was raised by the criminal Wolf Derrick and his wife Bonnie. Without the moral guidance of the Kents to set him straight, this superpowered duplicate became first a super brat, then a super bully, then a super menace, who dresses just like Superman, but wears a Hamburglar-style mask and robs banks. Things get extra weird when Superman uses his X-ray vision on his dastardly doppelganger and learns that he's not even a real Kryptonian. This ending has to be seen to be believed. That's all for this week. Join us again at 7 for another 5. Thanks for watching this episode of Fantastic 5. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Comics Alliance, and check out comicsalliance.com for more comics awesomeness.